Mike Owens here. Today I'm joined by Raquel Pennington, the UFC bantamweight champion. Raquel, great to sit down and chat. How are things for you today?
Pretty good. Just hanging out. Got a snow day here in Colorado, so staying warm, doing some adulting things. Get to talk with you, having fun, kind of just chatting with everybody. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. I've wore my gold t-shirt in honor of your world title belt today
I
because I'm
love it.
talking with the champ. Has life changed since your title win in January?
So I've always had a very busy lifestyle. Sometimes I forget how busy I am, but I will tell you what, it has gone through the roof. It keeps me a little too busy.
Mm.
I feel like I don't have time to breathe right now, but it's been good. It's been fun. You sign up for this when, you make you hit these ultimate goals and stuff. So I'm enjoying the ride with it. But Tecia's getting ready to start camp, and so I'm also playing mama now. I get to hang out.
Did winning the belt in January UFC 297, did that feel as you would expect after all these years, after your long and illustrious career?
Honestly, it took a little while to soak in. I've climbed a ton of mountains throughout my career, and it was just another mountain to climb. People don't really get to see the behind the scenes of anything, but I was extremely sick going into that fight, so it was not fun. There was a point that I woke up that morning and I honestly felt like I needed to pull from the fight. I was concerned about a possible 25 minutes in there. I had extreme body aches. I had a ton of pressure in my face. I already had a headache. Like the idea of going into a fight feeling that way. Plus, I felt like I had razor blades in the back of my throat. I wasn't sure if I had strep throat. I didn't know what was going on. It started as I was making my journey out to Canada the Tuesday prior. And then I started feeling a little bit better throughout the week. And then I think from just breaking my immune system down during weight cut, I felt absolutely terrible. So it was a really unique experience, to say
Mm.
the least. Going out there, I we're in the octagon, they're announcing us, and I turned and looked at my coaches and I just told them, I was like, this is gonna hurt. And they're like, hey,
Mm.
we just need you. We don't care what this fight looks like we need you for 25 minutes. Just give us what you have for 25 minutes. So I got the job done. I did what I needed to. It was frustrating because I feel like the fight could have been a lot different
Mm.
for me. And so, but at the end of the day, I'm proud of myself. I'm the current world champion. The fun part about fighting is there's going to be another fight, get to defend the world
Mm.
title. And so things can kind of just change from there. But I think with just being sick, like I honestly wasn't able to embrace it as much as I probably should have. So Tecia ended up throwing me a champ party. And during that time, just seeing fans, family, friends, and everybody come together, all the little kids, the excitement, like that's when it really started to soak in. But that was what, almost 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks after the fight.
Mm.
So it took a little time.
100%. I did want to mention this as well because you've kind of taken the long road, the rocky road, I was going to say, given your nickname. You obviously, I think I checked the record before we jumped on it. It was your 18th fight in the UFC. You obviously had the title fight with Amanda back in 2018, 19 time.
Mhm.
But to come back and get your second title shot 5.5 years later, you very much did it the hard way in some ways. I'd like to know, obviously you then mentioned what you talked about there about being sick on the day of the fight. I'd like to know if you would have preferred to have won the title the way that you did, i.e., to win it in the fashion that you did over such a long career.
Initially it was like frustrating because as a fighter, we want to go out there and we want to put on our best performances, like
Mm.
especially for having this second opportunity. But at the end of the day, like to look back and see another mountain that I had to climb, see, just being able to go out there and actually conquer and overcome some things. It makes for a cool story, could
Mm.
look back on this crazy wild ride and be like, man, like biggest fight of my career. The first time, like, here's this situation. The second time, here's this situation. So, I mean, everything happens the way that it's supposed to. Obviously, it was meant to happen that way. I still went out there. I achieved the ultimate goal. I'm doing what I need to for me, changing my family's life. And the goalpost just keeps moving. I mean,
Mm.
there's going to be other fights, go out there. But yeah, I wouldn't change anything. It was frustrating, but I mean, that's what makes a story, right? And like you said, I've never been handed anything. I
Mm.
have literally grinded from the bottom and just worked my way. I've been the dark horse in women's MMA. I've been the underdog my entire career, and I'm out here just still making things happen. So, needless to say, I have a lot to be proud of.
100%. Couldn't agree more. You mentioned there about achieving the ultimate goal. We all in our lives have our own dreams and aspirations, what we want to accomplish. You obviously accomplish yours, or one I would presume of your major goals of your career
Mhm.
back in January. I'd like to know, fighting aside, how does it feel to accomplish such a big goal in your career, in your life?
It's everything, you know. I remember when I first started this sport 14 years ago, there wasn't very many females around, and you know, I had to fight some of the same opponents. Back then, women did not have the opportunity that they do now. I remember saying, I'm going to be one of the first women into the UFC, and people literally laughed in my face.
Mm,
It became a thing, and I was one of the first 10 women to ever sign with the UFC, you know, and just seeing how far this sport has grown for women and stuff. Um, and then, you know, the goalpost, it just keeps moving. So then it was like, I'm gonna become a world champion. Again, people laughed and they're like, oh, this is not happening. And now I'm the sixth ever women's bantamweight champion. Like no one can take that away from
mm,
me. You know, it's surreal when you sit there and you start a journey and it's just like, man, like you set these goals. And, you know, I think the biggest thing is I always tell people you need to stay having fun and, you know, you need to believe because you're going to have a ton of people who don't believe in you. But as long as you believe in you and you have the right environment around you, you can conquer anything. And all these years, I mean, I just kept believing, you know, I've had a
mm,
ton of setbacks and even with the setbacks, it's like, how do you come back? And that's what makes or break people. And, you know, I've been in some dark places throughout my career and it's frustrating. I've been an athlete since I was 5 years old and to figure out how to navigate every time I fell back down and to climb that mountain again. It's really cool. I sit back and sometimes I forget, you know,
mm,
how much I've been through, all the things I've actually accomplished. And when I sit back and I see it all, it's one of the coolest journeys.
mm. I've just got goosebumps listen to you hear that to say that to be quite honest. Talking about Mayra as an opponent, I had the opportunity to speak with her about 3 weeks out from your fight.
Okay.
Um, and she had very much an air of confidence. I remember one of her quotes saying that you weren't on her level. I think she reiterated that at the press conference, and it felt like she kind of ratcheted up the trash talk from her side across the fight. Did the fight become a rivalry to you, and was it even sweeter to win over her, or was it business as usual?
No, it's not a rivalry. When I started the sport, I mean, there was no shit talking. You know, every warrior, you know, they respected each other. You know, we would sit there and talk about ourselves and everything, but there was never all this shit talking. And now the dynamic has definitely changed.
Mm,
You know, she was trying to play a part, but for me, I've been in the UFC now for 11 years. I've been in the top 10 for majority of that, and I've been top five for half of that.
mm,
And you know, I fought in the best of the best. I've been in there. I've already had the world title opportunity. So for me, just the way everything came out, you know, Bueno Silva jumping in there and they're like, oh hey, like I honestly thought I was gonna fight Julianna, and then they called and they're like, she's still injured. We need the division to move. You're gonna fight Bueno Silva. You know, I mean, she's here for a reason. I feel like she's very green, and she was trying to play a part, but she didn't have the exposure to the top 10. She really didn't. So I was confident in that. And then her last few fights, I mean, she's riding a hype train. She's submitting girls. So she wasn't having to go into deep waters.
mm,
And that was the thing. It was like, okay, if we go further past the second round, like your ass is gonna gas. And it showed. Like
mm,
she got extremely tired, you know. Um, but after the fight, a lot of it's the entertainment. After the fight, you know, we spoke and it took her to a dark place after losing. And she was just like, you know, I'm done. And it was like, no, like you're gonna keep grinding. You could be a world champion one day, but
mm.
you're so green. You're so new to this with being in the UFC and in the top 10 now. Like keep pushing. And she was just like, I'm sorry for all the shit talking. Like, you know, it's interesting what happens behind the scenes and stuff. But for me, like none of that plays a part. Like it doesn't matter. And it's the same thing I said at the press conference. Like our fists are gonna do the talking. So I'll see you Saturday. And that's exactly what happens. I personally am the type of person I don't like to waste any extra energy. And I feel like when you do all this shit talking and then you go into a fight and you ran your mouth and then you turn around and lose, like you're gonna have to make up for that for the
Yeah,
next year of your life because
yeah.
people are not gonna forget that. And it's wasted energy. Like I don't know. And on top of that, I'm the type of person that also looks at the audience that's following and stuff and the younger generation. I'm huge when it comes to the kids out there. And, you know, I have my godkids, I have my little niece and nephews. my little cousins, and then of course it expands into the world of all the young kids out there. And I sure as hell do not want to teach them how to talk shit and cut another individual down. I just want to teach them how to be passionate and be brave and go out there and do what they need to do for themselves, you know?
Yeah, 100%. As we kind of turn the conversation from the past a little bit to the future, obviously now you're world champion, the Raquel Pennington era has begun. What would you, in an ideal world, what would you like your championship reign to look like?
You know, I mean, I'm 35. Obviously the ultimate goal is to win the world title. I've done that. I feel like the next goal is to defend the world title a couple times and prove why you're a champion. So that's my next goal. I said back in the day, I only wanted to fight until I was like 31, 32. Here I am at 35. And so, you know, I mean, Tecia and I, we want more kids. We just had our baby, or our daughter, she's 9 months old. So I don't know. I have a few fights left in me, but I don't plan on fighting. And with fight camps and getting into another fight and everything, it takes time. Like, you know, I mean, you could fight twice a year, and by the time you go through camp, you fight, you take the time off to relax a little bit, let your body recover, you start another camp. The year has gone just like that. So I definitely don't want to be into my 40s fighting. You know, I want longevity. I do care about my health. Fighting's dangerous. You're getting hit in the head and stuff. So I focused a lot on that, but I don't know. Like I said, a couple more fights, and then after that, like on to the next chapter in my life.
Is there a previous champion in history who you look back on as a kind of role model? Maybe not in the way that they fought, but in terms of the way that they carried themselves outside of the cage, somebody that you would like to emulate as champion?
No, you know, I feel like everybody's journey is their own. I don't want to be like anybody else. I'm Raquel Rocky Pennington, and at the end of the day, like our stories are all unique, and I think that's what makes it really cool. You know, I mean, you can't be Amanda, you can't be Ronda Rousey. Like they're their own people. They did what they needed to for themselves, and like now I'm on my own journey. I'm building my own legacy, and so that's my focus. I definitely give props to the previous champions. You know, it's tough to get there. It's a goal that most people dream of. And that's the thing, you know, you have all these athletes in the UFC and they still dream of it, but they never get that opportunity. So I'm just thankful. I'm blessed. You know, I'm grateful for having the opportunity twice and being able to finally accomplish that goal. Like I said, being the 6th ever women's bantamweight champion, like no one can take that away from me. And then we'll see what these next few fights look like. Obviously, I plan on remaining the champion until my career is done. So
I suppose when we talk about future goals and what else you would like to accomplish in your career, I don't presume you want to fight on another Sean Strickland undercard. Is that off the list?
Yeah, no, I could pass for that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I said, everybody has their opinions and they're warranted to how they feel and stuff, but like you're not going to tell me how to live my life. I'm not going to tell you how to live yours. Like I don't find the need to judge other people's lifestyle. It's not going to change. And you know, just the things that he was saying, like at the end of the day, he wants to talk about us female fighters. Like we're here to stay. So he needs to get past himself in that aspect. And you know, I can respect UFC for giving a platform to where we have freedom of speech and like they allow us athletes to be ourselves and whatnot. But I do feel a significant difference in freedom of speech and hate speech. And there was a lot of interesting things coming on that end and during fight week and stuff. And it's like, you know, he talks all big and bad all the time on the camera and he's constantly running his mouth, but then you see him in person and like he's looking the other direction. It's just it's an interesting dynamic. You know, I feel like social media and I feel like just having a platform that you use and you speak your opinion very loudly. You know, it affects certain people out there. And I've been an ambassador against bullying. I've done a lot of guest speakings against suicide prevention, all kinds of different things. And I feel like situations like that are why people fall super low. Like, and I'm talking in a whole, like it didn't affect me. I still went out there. Like I said, the women are here to fight. Like you could talk shit about me all week, but guess what? We're your co-main event. We're here. But I just feel like other people, you know, listening, being influenced, or, you know, you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what people's goals are and the different things. And when you sit here and you're on such a platform and you're talking negative and like, it breaks my heart, honestly. But, you know, during that week, we were getting ready to go to the press conference and Dana and Hunter came into the back room and they're like, hey, how are you dealing with all this? And for me, like, I don't pay attention to the extra noise. It's just entertainment for the rest of the world to see. It's not going to stop me from going out there and doing my job on that Saturday. So it was just like, up until then, I was like, I don't know. I don't even know what he's saying. But then throughout the media time, you know, they keep repeating everything and they're like, hey, this is being said. Hey, that's being said. And it's sad, really.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. Turn the conversation back to yourself. You mentioned they're defending the title. In your mind, is it clear who you will defend your title against? Do you have a clear name?
Absolutely. So in my mind, it's Julianna Pena. That's what me and my team are preparing for. It makes sense. It's tough because UFC does business how they want to do business. Obviously, you have Kayla Harrison, who just signed to UFC. They do have a habit of when somebody has a big name, they like to fast track them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised after UFC 300 next month if Kayla wins, if a phone call is a lot different after that fight. But we'll see. For me, I think it's Julianna. I personally, just from having to grind from the bottom up, never being handed anything, there's a lot of women in this division who have been busting their ass for years upon years, and they're wanting opportunities. I do not find it fair. I get the business aspect of it, but I do not find it fair when an athlete comes in and just because they have a big name, they get to skip the line. So, you know, I mean, I'm not opposed to fighting anybody. I'm not like scared of anybody. I love the challenges out there. Everybody brings a different challenge to the table. But I will have a bitter taste if, you know, they do want to make her skip the line. And it takes away from the opportunity of all these other women. I've been in their shoes and it's frustrating. And so, you know, I would rather see the ones that have been here for so many years working so hard be able to have their opportunity.
Will you be in attendance for that fight between Kayla and Holly? And how much do you think the cut down to 135 will affect Kayla?
So we wanted to go, but Tecia will be midway in camp. So we're not going to take the time to go out there. We'll be at home watching it for sure. You know, I think the biggest thing is I think she could definitely make the weight. It's obviously going to be a new place for her. I think my biggest question is okay, you made the weight, but how are you going to perform at that weight? And then just that fight in general, you know, I feel like if Holly brings the fighter out that came into the UFC, she'll definitely expose Kayla again. You know, Kayla fought Larissa Pacheco and Larissa threw her hands. And during that time, Kayla had a really hard time. She couldn't get off with her game plan that she's used to. It's kind of the same thing when Holly Holm let her hands go against Ronda Rousey and Ronda was exposed with her, you know, she couldn't get in there and get her judo throw and stuff. So I feel like if Holly brings out that athlete, you know, it'll be a good night for Holly. But at the same token, you know, if Holly fights the way she's been fighting her last few fights, it's going to be a great night for Kayla if she can perform at 135.
Style matchup wise, who do you look at as the tougher fight for you personally, Julianna Pena or Kayla Harrison?
Like I said, I think everybody brings a different challenge to the table. I personally like the storyline between me and Julianna. You know, I mean, we were on the Ultimate Fighter together. She's had her things to say. She just annoys the living hell out of me. So I think it would be a better fight, honestly. But I mean, a fight's a fight, and I can't say it enough. They both bring different challenges. So whatever.
Talking about fighting, you mentioned Tecia's obviously in camp. I don't remember the date, but I know that it's in May.
May 11th.
May 11th. Thank you for that. I don't think we've ever seen siblings be simultaneous UFC champions. I don't believe we've ever seen a couple of UFC champions at the same time. How realistically do you think that is for Tecia? Is the title still a goal of hers at 115?
You know, Tecia is highly motivated. She wants to come back. She wants to make a run for the world title. She's done some amazing things with her career. Before getting pregnant, she was in the top 10. She's same thing. She's been in the top 10 her entire career with UFC. So I don't see it something that's too far away. As long as she stays super active and goes out there and keeps getting her hand raised, I think she can turn around and make a run for that world title pretty quickly. And like you said, I mean, it's never happened with a couple. So in our household, that's, you know, I have my ultimate goal, her ultimate goal, world title. I won the world title. My next one is to defend the world title. She wants to go out there and win the world title. And as a couple, like, we want to make history and be the first two to be a couple as world champions.
Where do you think you rank us on the MMA power couples list? Where would you think you would be in terms of accomplishments of MMA couples?
Shit, we're number one. What are you talking about?
I would presume number one. I think there's certainly a case.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm hyping up ourselves. We're number one, damn it.
I have to ask as well, I think this was your first camp as a parent. What was that experience like? Is life give me one thing that's good about being a parent through fight camp, and one thing that's maybe bad as a parent through fight camp?
Becoming a mom has definitely brought a different purpose to life. Being an athlete since I was 5 years old, sometimes it's easy to feel like athletics is your complete identity. All of us athletes, I think we struggle with that sometimes in the highs and the lows, and it's like, it's make or break. We forget that it's just a part of us. It's a passion, but it doesn't define us as people. And the reason why I keep saying us is because I've talked to multiple athletes and it's the same exact thing, with this fight, becoming a mom and going out there, like, there was just a different level of motivation. There was a different level of excitement. There was a different calm because, I'm Alea's greatest teacher. Like, I don't have room to feel any negative emotions. It's up to me to teach her how to be brave, how to be strong, how to be courageous. So that was super exciting. And I don't even know. It's just like a different purpose. Like, win or lose, my life doesn't change, and I've already won in life. So it's a really cool dynamic. But I'll tell you what, to go through a camp, have a newborn baby, I moved into the guest room. Tecia held down the fort. She took care of the baby, and now we're flipping roles completely. It's definitely been interesting. And then to turn around and just have her there after I won the world title, and we go back and we're taking pictures, and they put her on the floor with the belt and take pictures. It's like my all-time favorite photo. This little girl has no clue the experiences she has had in the first 9 months of her life. When she gets to a point, I would say I can't wait to tell her, but I can definitely wait because, I mean, man, she's already 9 months old. Like, I don't know where time goes. But when she gets to a point that she starts to understand and we can turn around and reflect on everything and show her, like, I'm really excited to be like, hey, like, here's your complete experience that you had no clue about, but you were a little rock star.
I love it. Last one from me, Raquel. Thank you very much for the time. As you mentioned at the start of this conversation, you've accomplished one of your main career goals back in January. So this is probably a difficult question to ask, but I'd like to know, we're in March 2024. Where would you like to be come the 1st of March 2025? What are your goals for the next 12-month period?
By March, I would actually have loved to already fought twice. So we'll definitely see. It's kind of impossible right now. I mean, it's not impossible, but it would be tough for me to turn around and jump into another fight camp with Tecia in camp and having a baby.
Yeah.
Alea's going to be one, June 1st. So right now I want Tecia to shine. I want her to be able to experience all the emotions that I just got to experience being a mom and going through a fight. I'm super excited for her. And it's cool to see her have that comeback, but yeah, I mean, I want to fight a couple times. I think, I would love to get back in there in like October for the first one and then be able to, for some reason, I have not been able to enjoy my holidays. I always end up with a fight during holiday time or right after. So I'm consistently having to diet. So I would love October, and I would love to be able to enjoy the holidays with my family. And then after that, be back in there again. So
I love it. Raquel, it was truly great to see you win the world title back in January. I think the real fans of this sport know the road that you've taken, the rocky road that we talked about earlier, and that, you 100% deserve that moment. So congratulations. It really was great to catch up with you today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was good talking to you.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.